Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday to any and everyone. Why is Monday such a tricky day? Why is Monday like, oh, hey Trish. Ooh, girl, I loaded your podcast this weekend. Yes, I did. It's coming out soon. Thank you so much. I am so excited. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling? I know, right? Like we really did. Did you forget about it? Like after it was done, you was like, whew, that's off my head. I ain't got to think about it no more. Or you've been like wondering, twiddling your fingers, waiting for the win. Hold on, let me put this up. I'm just going to title this Overcoming. We may talk about more than what I'm going to give it to. I'm doing okay, hanging in there. Okay. Hey, Jackie, thanks for coming through. Baby Blue, she made it. Yes. If you guys shamelessly could get me like to 3,000 to 5,000, I've heard you're supposed to start bringing up people once you have that number in. It's something about bringing people to the conversation. And I want to hear, and Trish, if you are willing, this conversation is about overcoming. I'm going to start it off about, hello, I'm also excited for the next time. Oh, you are? Cool. I have a lot of notes here. Thank you, everyone that's coming into the room. Thank you for tapping the live. We're trying to get up to like 5,000 real quick. And then I want people to come up. I want to hear, I have some things I want to share, but I want to hear some things that have worked for you guys. Because being isolated, especially going through COVID and a lot of other different things where we have learned how to be at home a lot, sometimes it's hard to pull out of that. And a lot of us may have immune issues, health challenges that makes being at home safer. But at the same time, you're feeling kind of lonely. You're feeling isolated. You're feeling, hey, Joanne, thank you for coming in. Feeling like you're disconnected from the world. So the conversation tonight is starting, hey Rita, thank you for coming in, is starting with overcoming loneliness and isolation. And Baby Blues is here and she has a lot of good information to share, so I'm hoping people come up. I do want to share, today the last Monday of the month or next month? Is it this Monday or next Monday? This is my phone, so I can't look at the calendar. In my head, today was the last Monday of the month. Is it? Is today the last Monday, if somebody can tell me? Oh, I got my tablet right here. I can see on the calendar. In my head, this was the last Monday of the month. Oh no, it's next Monday. Well, dang on it. Thank you. I had the subscriber giveaway. I had the wheel up over there all ready to do it. Okay, so we'll do it next Monday. But let me share with you guys what the subscriber giveaway is. Thank you, Stat. So Widowhood Real Talk with Tina is a registered 501c3 nonprofit. And all the stuff what I do for grief and bereavement, it's under that nonprofit. Thank you for liking the live. We're going to get to 5,000 really quick. Thank you. Next Monday is when I'll actually give away the subscriber giveaway. So we have people that donate to the work that I do. And one lady is Kiki Coast, and she donated this bracelet. And at the end of the month, for all of the people that are subscribers, I have a wheel that I spin and they get the gifts. I don't keep these for myself. I want to share this back out to the community that helps and supports me. So Kiki Coast, she makes custom jewelry. This is her symbol on the back, KK, and you can look her up. Amazing work that she does. Hey Mama Boom. And so this is going to be the subscriber giveaway that we give away next month. And if you want to subscribe, there's a star at the top. And if you select that, thank you. You can subscribe for 1 month. You can subscribe for several months. But your subscription is second anniversary. Oh, I am so sorry, Stack. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for being willing to share that with us and know that this is a safe space. You are so welcome. Those are hard dates to come across. Oh, thank you for the gifts. Thank you so much. And so this is one item. The second item for the subscriber giveaway, thank you, Mama Boom, is this mug. And this is donated by another widow that makes a lot of arts and crafts. Oh, thank you so much. Her name is Rachel. She goes by Butterlove on this app. And the mug says, "In the Stigma, Mental Health Awareness." And it has little bees around it. Honeycombs is the theme right here. And she has they're 3D, like you can really feel them. I don't know if you could, okay, maybe you could see right there. And they're right there. So these are the two items. Hey, Brother James. Hey, sir. That will be given away for the subscriber giveaway next Monday. Because for some reason I thought today we are at 2.5K. We're trying to get to 5K. And then we're going to bring people up. We're going to talk about how to overcome isolation and also loneliness. And I have some information that I want to share. Now, I know some people say we've been out of the big COVID pandemic for a while, but there are a lot of people that have gotten into the habit of being alone and they don't know how to come outside anymore. There are people that are maybe elderly that have watched a lot of information and don't feel safe anymore being outside. And the need but they want to connect with other people. They're feeling lonely, they're feeling isolated, and it is hard. And it is really difficult when it looks like the world is passing you by and you feel stuck in your situation. Sometimes you may feel like you're connected to people and you're interacting with them, but when they are talking and when things are going on, you may not feel like you fit in anymore. You may feel like even though people are around you, but you don't feel like, all right, we're at 2.9K, we are doing it, that you feel like you belong anymore. And when you start feeling like that, it will start making you retreat. And sometimes you hear the word silently quitting. Hey, Rochelle. And sometimes the idea of not being able to connect with other people can make it difficult. So when I was doing some of my research about how to combat feelings of isolation and how to manage loneliness, I can tell you that there was a lot of crossover because they are oftentimes very similar. Because sometimes you can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. Sometimes you may feel like you're in a room full of people, but you move away to the outskirt of the room and you don't feel connected to oh, thank you. You don't feel connected to the people in the room. So being lonely doesn't mean you're alone. It may just have the feeling of loneliness. Hey, Trip. Oh, is he in the room? Didn't know if he's here or not. Thank you so much. And then also feeling, I said, oh, we're at 3.7. Y'all are getting us 3.8. Yes, we are about to do that. And so I want to, can you guys, hey, hello. Hey, Auntie. So do you want me to share first about isolation or loneliness? You guys get to pick which one I'm going to share first. Isolation. Hey, Trip. Oh, thank you for coming through. Thank you so much. We're talking about overcoming. We're going to start with isolation and loneliness, and then we're going to go into other things that people are overcoming. Because one of my goals in my life is to always provide something that's going to be inspiring. And not in a toxic positivity way, but in, okay, so this is a good conversation for you right now. Good. I'm glad that I'm right on target. I want to share, first of all, something that Maya Angelou said. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And the one thing then your nails and lippy look. What? Kimberly Roof. Then I'm okay. I don't know what that means, Kimberly. Let me know and I'll explain. So Maya Angelou, I have two different quotes that I plan to share this evening. And the first one is from Maya Angelou. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And the one thing about grief and just feeling isolated and lonely, you may not be able to just change it by thinking about it. Hello, Dr. Cassie. But what you can do is change your attitude. Changing the attitude will eventually lead to something being changed. And the first thing that we have to change is our thought process. Hey, Cassandra, is in our mind. The idea that I don't want to be isolated anymore. Hey, Loretta, I'm going to, as soon as, oh, we're at 5K. Whoa, that happened so quickly. I want to share a little bit, but if people want to come up, I would love to hear how you guys have been able to overcome. Ooh, okay. I like her. That was cute. I feel like I want, yippee-ki-yay, yahoo! Y'all gonna make me get out my cowgirl boots. And that other thing, I feel like I could wear that at night, like, you know, with some, okay, let me stay focused, Tina, stay focused. But that was cute, because I think I could sport that. Okay. So I want to share, I want to share some information with you guys, and I would love for people to come up and share your experience about being isolated or lonely, how you've been battling with that, how you've been overcoming that, or things that you know that have been, hey, maybe you have been isolated, went back and forth, whatever that looks like for you. I would love for you to come up and share. So the first quote that that I shared with you is from Maya Angelou. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And we may not be able to change a situation, but we can change what we think about it. So which one are we going to talk about first? Isolation or loneliness? Put an I for isolation and put an L for loneliness. There's 8 people in the room. I just need you to put one letter. No major commitment. You don't have to come into a box, but I or L. Okay, 2 L's. They're coming quick. Ooh, let me get some water. 2 L's. I just need 8 people to put an I or L. Not QI, Kimberly. You funny. Okay, I'm gonna take that as an I. Okay, the L's are kicking it, boy. All right, we get a few more people to vote. Oh, there's 9 people. We're putting I for isolation or L for loneliness. Just I or L. You don't have to come into a box. Hey, Jazzy, I'm not making... Okay, very good. Thank you so much. So I for isolation. Okay, that's it. Hey, Dr. Cassie, the loneliness has it. But you know the interesting thing about it? Loneliness can often lead into isolation. Because when you're feeling alone, and let me say this, loneliness doesn't equal being alone. You can feel lonely in the presence of other people. My personal experience with that, when my late husband passed, I felt alone. I had friends, hey Mella, I had family around me, but his presence, hey girl, yes, and his presence not being there, I felt alone. I could be in a restaurant, I could be in a movie theater, I could be at work, but there was something missing in my soul that made me feel lonely in a room full of people. And once I was surprised. Hey Nelda, we're talking about isolation and loneliness, and right now we're starting with loneliness, and I would love for people to come up. I'm going to share a little bit of information that I have about ways about, hey girl, hey GMA, let me tell you guys something. GMA right there, that girl is a makeup slayer. She throws down on some makeup over there. And Jazzy in the room, an amazing poet. She is actually writing a poem for our butterfly release ceremony. And Mama Boom, that is also in the room has an amazing space for faith. And if you are looking for encouragement, she goes live several days a week and a couple of times in the evening because she wants to intercede for people that are hurting and feeling their pain. And she is just amazing there. And you can tell I connect. And Trish that's in the room, we recently recorded her podcast and it's coming out on our podcasting application. And I want to tell you guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for the social content. Hi, Winnie. Our podcast and our social content right now has 4.3 million views. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Across 111 countries. You guys have been trusting me to show up for you, and I appreciate that. And Widowhood Real Talk with Tina is doing a lot of things supporting the bereaved. And if you ever want to know what our next event is, if you go up to my bio and select Widowhood Real Talk with Tina, and go to our website, it lists all our different events. It lists the things that we're doing. Hey, user, hey, GMA, that these things that we're doing, you're getting a snippet of what I do here on this TikTok live, but our nonprofit is literally out here supporting the world. So these are some things. So feeling lonely does not mean loneliness. Thank you, Jazzy. Loneliness does not equal being alone. It is an internal feeling of feeling like you're not connected any longer. It's the part of you that feels like you no longer associate with the world around you or with the people within your immediate life. And loneliness is something that once you recognize it exists, only you being proactive in your own life. And it may, hey Carol, it may be little steps, it may be big steps. Hey, good evening. You may listen to everything that I share. Don't get overwhelmed. You may decide to pick one of the things that I share tonight, one of the things that you hear other people share, and that may be the one thing that resonates with you. But don't worry about trying to pick up everything. If you want me to email you this list, you can message me. I'll email you a PDF. You can contact me. Hey, Debbie, you can join me on our Discord and we share information there. So you'll hear all this, but don't get overwhelmed. Look for the one thing that resonates with you and that can prove helpful. So I was about to read isolation and y'all clearly wanted loneliness. To manage loneliness, focus on building social connections. This Discord is super helpful. Oh, thank you, Jazz. Super. And that was Mama's idea because I was not going to do a Discord. Engaging in activities you enjoy. Practicing self-care, seeking professional help if needed. And here are some breakdowns. And so the idea of connecting with others, it may start small. It may start something like you're doing here on social media where you connect with some people and you're joining different lives or you're messaging people because you don't want to feel, hey, hello, hey, Georgia Peach. All right now, LA woman, thank you for being in the house. And the connecting with others. Thank you for the follow. Making an effort to talk to friends or neighbors. Maybe you've been kind of shy and literally you may not even know the people next door to you. Maybe if it's the idea of just saying good morning, good afternoon when you're in your backyard or leaving from your apartment complex or your condo. Reaching out and just connecting with other people. And the next one is what I just talked about, engaging online. Maybe it's the idea of engaging with other people. Maybe you're in the room now and you're checking out other people's posts. You see their name going through in the comments or you see their names up there. Then you can go check out the content that they put out. You can go check out what they share on their social media platform. Maybe something they're sharing resonates with you. Maybe that's a low-key first level way that you could start connecting with people. Hey, Dr. Robin. The other way is to join groups. Maybe you like photography. Maybe you like walking. Maybe you like bowling. or maybe you just like eating, and maybe you can, there is a app that I used when I first moved to Virginia called Meetup. And Meetup allowed me to just look at different topics or different things that I had interest in, and I met different people that were doing those. I joined a book club. I would go to different restaurants. Therapy helped me cope and identify ways to engage in life. I love that talk. Trish, would you love to come up and share? You're more than willing. Anybody that would like to come up and share how you have managed loneliness, or how you know some things that have worked for you, or maybe you've watched other people that have struggled with loneliness in different ways that have helped them. I would love. Or maybe you just want to share that right now you're feeling lonely and you're looking for different ways on how to handle that, or how you support people that are lonely, whatever that looks like. But this was meant to be an open panel conversation. Sorry. Okay, there it is, Jazzy. Oop, don't want to cover you, girl. Let me move that a little bit. So, another way that they say that you can overcome loneliness is volunteering. And so volunteering allows you to give back to community or give back into the areas in which you're volunteering. The other way that you can maybe combat your loneliness is just spending time outdoors, connecting with nature, getting outside and connecting with nature and being is a great way to combat loneliness. The other way is to engage. Oh, thank you for gifting, everyone. Thank you so much. The other way is to gauge. Well, I'm going to save some of these. Who wants to share first as far as their experience with loneliness personally or helping other people?
Hey Tina, this is Elaine, Baby
Yes,
Blues.
thank you.
Hey, um, I work in a hospital setting, so and actually I work in the department of ICU, and
Mm,
which is where visitation is limited.
okay.
So, um, with that being said, so we get people from elderly, like from nursing homes or from home, um, with some serious illnesses,
Right.
and um, a lot of them don't have loved ones or friends that come visit,
Okay.
or they can't come visit, and so we may get one from a nursing home that's has pneumonia or something,
Mm,
and when they come from the nursing home, they are actually around other people. But once you visit or you talk with these individuals, it's like you said, they're around other people. They're not actually lonely because they surround themselves with other people, but they are lonely
yes.
because even though they're around other people, they're not having conversation with these people. They have drawn themselves away from everybody.
Not feeling connected.
Not
Yeah.
exactly. So, and it's like I told you earlier. I mean, um, no, is it my job to go around and have conversation with these people? But you got to think and realize that these people now are in a typical isolation room. No one's there. They're in their rooms by themselves.
Right.
So still, again, there's people there, there's nurses and everything that go in, but it's having a conversation with them and seeing the expressions on their face when it's like, I'm really not here by myself. You can connect with them, but in the expressions on their face when they finally get that connection, it is unbelievable.
And
So
it
you
doesn't
can be
sound like it
around
has to
as
be a
many
really
people as you want
complicated
to.
conversation. It's just them literally knowing you're focused on them and you really are
E-
listening and caring.
Exactly, exactly. So, I mean, and just like Mama Boone said in her live today, I mean, if you know some elderly people, I mean, it's the small things that count just as
Yes.
big, just as much as the bigger things. You know, I mean, no, you can't go visit, but pick up a phone and call.
Yeah.
Um, I do know that we got a local nursing home that just recently started doing pet therapy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, and you will be amazed because when they're in the nursing home, they can't have animals.
Mm.
So they may have, so they may, you think about it, maybe they had some at home, but they're no longer at home.
Okay.
And their activity rate has increased. They're want to actually leave their rooms and go congregate with the volunteers, and interact with the animals. So,
But you bring up a
I mean,
good point about the beauty of pet therapy and that connecting with an animal. And there are some places where you can just go, like a petting zoo, or go someplace where they're volunteering with the animals and get that connection. May not want a pet at home, may not want all that responsibility, but there's a
mm-hmm,
lot of support and encouragement coming from being able to connect with animals.
exactly.
Trish wrote down. Trish said, "You are so right. My mom is in a home, and some people haven't, don't have outside support." And Jazzy wrote, "In the nursing home, I used to work a lot with the residents and had dogs to help keep them company. That is so important. Thank you."
And it's just, in I mean, we talk about pet therapy. Now, they're reading out what we call is like an eating alternative. So now they're having their own gardens at the nursing home, their own flower beds. So they're
Okay.
doing everything they can to get them engaged because I think now people are realizing how much is needed because loneliness, just like you said, loneliness and isolation, they both come hand in hand.
They do.
They both come hand in hand. And I just feel like once you get into that isolation stage, it is very hard. You really have to, I mean, I don't even know how to express it.
Work
You
hard to
really have
get
to,
yourself out of it.
exactly. You really do.
It is possible, but the quote by Maya Angelou, if you don't like something, change it. And that's often sounds easier than to do, but but the second part of that, if you can't change it, change your attitude. And maybe part of that attitude changing is, I don't want to be lonely anymore. I don't want to be isolated. I may not know how to get
Correct.
out of it, but I know I don't like where I'm at, and I want and change is possible. And if that's the first step, then at least our mindset is going towards making it something different.
And I really can relate because when my mom was first diagnosed with cancer, I pulled myself away from, I didn't want to hear what people were saying to me. I got in the stage where I just wanted to be by myself, make sure, just back and forth every day because I was actually staying in a hotel. I wasn't not even home.
Oh
So I could be
wow.
close to her. So when I wasn't at the hospital, I was pulling myself in a room, you know, I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to talk
Mm.
to anybody. I didn't want anybody to tell me everything was going to be okay. But at the end of the day, I finally looked at myself and it's like, I don't like who I'm becoming.
Mm.
I don't like, there's a lot of people that care for me, but why am I pulling away from them? I don't like what I was doing. So, people were reaching out to me, but I wasn't accepting that at all.
What was the
So
pivotal point to change?
I actually, I went to see my mom. And when I went to see my mom, they had just took her off the ventilator.
Okay.
And speech was working with her a little bit. And the one thing the next day that my mom said to me was, I hate you being up here alone.
Mm.
I had people. Mama was one of those that stayed in contact with me, and She would tell me, you can say what you can scream at me, you can say what you want to say, whatever, but I'm not going anywhere. So for two people to say, I hate for you being alone, and then you got someone telling you, I'm not going anywhere. You can push me away, but that was a wake up call for me, because it didn't matter. I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like what I was doing. I got people that's telling me they see that I'm alone, but they don't want me to be alone. And I had isolated myself from them. And then the one thing that scared me the most, Tina, is I was isolating myself so much that I was scared that I wasn't going to go to the hospital anymore. That I wouldn't want to be with grandma, because I was a little bit angry as well. I was put in a situation where, I didn't know how. This was my first time. My mom, she's this sick, and I was scared. I was mad,
Right.
and I didn't want to. I didn't want to get to that point where I'm like, I'm not going over there, because look what happened.
Okay.
Look where she put me through, and it wasn't even her.
Right.
But I felt. I mean, this is what I was thinking. If you want me to be honest, this is what I was thinking. If I kept myself away from everyone, if I stayed away from everybody, then I wouldn't have to deal with what's reality.
Because now, ooh, okay. You hit on that, because so we're lonely, we
Mm-hmm.
withdraw, and then I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with anything and make this worse. I want to hold on for 1 second. Tamara wrote in the comments, and I want to circle back to that. Um, and she said, I was the same, tired of same responses or lack of response. So I isolated my grief and my pain. Our pain and grief, the head chatter that you just talked about, Blues, the chatter in our head doesn't always tell us the truth. The chatter in our head will often conflict with reality. You had somebody telling you, I'm not going anywhere. I love you. I'm here to support you no matter what it is. And you also talked about sometimes we get into a space with our loneliness and isolation that we've made ourselves believe nobody cares. No one's going to rescue me. This is just how it's going to be. But there are
Mm-hmm.
at least one person that will rescue you. And sometimes you have to rescue yourself, don't get me wrong. But sometimes there's at least one friend that hasn't given up on us. And I want to tell you that I have a Discord, and if you're interested in joining that, let me know. Mama Boom has a Discord also. And the thing about the Discord, when you're having those head chatters and you're looking for encouragement, or you feel like you're the only one awake at 2 a.m., you can put a message in the Discord, and more often than not, you'll be surprised, KKDH, that somebody will respond, and you're not alone. Having community, having at least one person you're connecting with makes a big difference in making you feel connected and not feeling like you're detached from everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Trish, what would you like to share? Thank you, Blues. If you can hang out for a little bit, please do. If not, I understand you've had a busy day. I thank you so much for coming up and sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Trish,
Tina. And thank you, everybody, for allowing me this time and space to kind of share. Although I didn't lose anyone, having an illness, having a heart attack, and then being diagnosed with cancer later on, it's a lonely place to be in, a lonely position to be in, especially when the people around you are pretty much healthy and
mm,
your life is changing, and some of the things that you were able to do you can no longer do. um and you know I began therapy, and that's what really helped me. It was really identifying what was causing me to feel lonely,
okay.
and working through that and being able to identify those moments and to be able to name loneliness. That's
Oh, put
what,
a word to it.
to be able to name it, because I didn't know what it was. I'm thinking I'm depressed, and, and you're pulling away and you're pulling back in life, right?
Okay.
But you don't realize that, the depression is a result of the loneliness. You're lonely, which then, and you begin to isolate, and then you begin to feel depressed.
Now hold
It,
on one second. You said there, Trish. It sounds like it happens little by little. You said you didn't even realize. Is it little things that kind of like build on top of each other? What did that look like for you?
well, for me, first it started off, you know, I stopped answering my phone. I
Okay.
stopped responding to emails little by little, just kind of pulling away, because also, when people call you to see how you're doing, they mean well, but you end up repeating the same thing, and you get
Mm,
stuck in that space. And not only are you telling them, but you're reminding yourself of the situation that you're in. And it becomes like a woe is me moment. And I know that they
okay.
mean well, but my natural reaction was like, woe is me. So it was like repeating constantly over and over, what was going on, how I felt, what I was doing, what did the doctor say, what was the blood work about. So
Right.
avoiding that leads to lonely, because you're not answering, you're not talking to people, you're not, and even when you try to steer the conversation, it somehow comes back to the illness. So
Okay.
that's kind of
So
what I struggled with.
thank you for sharing that. For someone that wants to support somebody that they know is having a health crisis, what are some ways that I could show up that not be so intrusive but be supportive for you then?
Um, it's more, let's have more normal conversation. What did we talk about before I got sick?
Okay.
What did we talk about before I got sick? And one thing, how I started showing up for people, is I started asking them, how can I support you in this moment?
Okay.
How do you need me to listen? What do you need me to do in this moment? You know? Um, that would, so that way I am sure that I am giving them what they need. Or if it's something that I can't provide in that moment, being able to say it's not something I could provide, but let's figure out how we get it for you.
Okay.
So and let's kiki about the girl things that we talked about before. Let's talk about that new makeup that Lancome put out. Let's talk about, we went to
Okay.
the pedicure person, and she was talking about me in her language about my feet. You know what I'm saying? Let's let's talk about those normal things. Let's not
Right.
always make it, let it doesn't it my illness doesn't have to be the center. It is a part of who I am, but it is not all of me. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk
Yes.
about some of those things that we would normally talk about. Let's talk about, oh, it's time to get a retile. I saw this great, TikTok on how to dye your locks without damage. Let's just talk about the normal
So we do
things.
need to talk about that. Side note. Go ahead.
Yes, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like, just talking about, things that are norm that we would normally, laugh and kiki about. Or
Okay.
if you're having an issue in your life, let's talk about the normal things that we talk about, and let's stop centering this illness. Let's stop giving this illness more credit or more merit, and making it the focal point. You know,
Yes.
just it. Some of my relationships started to lack normalcy, which
Okay.
then created some loneliness, and then caused me to begin to isolate. Because instead of, I don't want to be unkind and say, well, I really don't want to talk about, all we talk about is the illness. You don't want to be unkind, because somebody is going out of their way to reach out to you, but it's still very difficult to, talk to three people in one day and then talk about the same thing. Oh, I had
I'm
lab
a
work. Oh, the,
I'm
the
gonna read a
labs were off.
comment that Sylvia wrote. Preach, talk to me, talk normal to me. I spent enough time grieving. That's what I
Amen.
hear you saying too.
Amen. You do. You spend, when it's quiet and I'm alone with my thoughts, I'm already thinking about my lab work and all the other things, and grieving the person that I used to be. So when I am with you or on the phone with you, I want to feel like a normal 54-year-old woman, kikiing about all those things, kikiing about when I'm going to retire. I need to hit the lottery. Where am I going on vacation next? Those are the things that keep people engaged in life, you know?
Hmm. I
Is
want to read this quote I have from Michelle Obama, Trish, and I want your comment that comes to mind. One of the lessons that I grew up with was to always stay true to yourself and never let somebody else say distract you from your goals.
well, distraction is something that's very easy, especially when you are going through something, because the distraction pulls you away from, really focusing in and getting done what needs to happen. Um, what that tells me, I learned that, within the past 4 years, within getting sick and going through all of that. I I realized that I am a priority. And if I
Mm,
don't prioritize myself and achieve the goals and focus on the things that I need to focus on, people are just going to, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, people will just surpass you and pass you by. You are
right.
stagnant as they are moving. So you
Okay.
really you have to prioritize who you are and really focus in on what you want to accomplish. Um, whether you're grieving a spouse and you're going through that, and maybe the goal at night, one goal at night is just to be able to cuddle with their pillow without crying. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? But
right.
it may seem like a small goal to me, but to someone else, that's something huge, is to not have
Yes.
to cry themselves to sleep on their spouse's pillow, you know? And you just have to realize that you have to prioritize yourself, and not everybody is going to believe in your goals or support your goals.
Mm.
And that's okay. And that is okay. Because just as there are somebody who doesn't support those goals, there are others who will support those goals. Just like you said, you can get on the
Yeah.
Discord at night and someone is there to support you.
There will be somebody. There is somebody that's going to resonate. That girl, you dropping some nuggets tonight.
Yeah, somebody's gonna support you. And if you find yourself in a circle that's not so supportive, maybe you vocalize what you need as far as support. And then if my mother has always taught me, and this is something that stuck with me all my life, everybody can't go where you're going, right?
Okay.
Everybody can't go where you're going. So sometimes we might have to let people go or pull back or shift how we interact with them, because at the end of the day, they can't go where you're going, right? And as much as we try to bring them along, it's not their destiny, it's not their journey, it's not their lot in life. And we also have to learn to let go so that we can allow people into the space who will support us in the capacity in which we need to be supported, who will support our goals, who will be our biggest cheerleaders.
That right there is huge. I'm going to read some of the comments. It says, Mercy Helpers, you can change that circle. Someone else said, come on now. And when I heard you say that, sometimes you have to realize the people, they can still be your friends. They just may not be the assignment to be your hype person.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have the emotional bandwidth or experience to even know how to show up for you in that space. You may have to find new people that have traveled in the journey you're in, that know how to give you the encouragement that you're looking for.
Exactly. And then sometimes if you look at their lives too, if you just take a second, they're not even their own biggest cheerleader, you know?
Ooh, hey
So if
Carmen, thank you.
so if you can't if you can't cheer yourself on and you don't know how to cheer, if you can't cheer yourself on, well, how can I expect you to cheer me on?
And you know what? You may be in a low sometimes where you may have been cheering everybody else on, and you may need somebody to cheer you on. That's why I was sharing these quotes, because sometimes you may have to dig outside of yourself to get some inspiration. You
Mm-hmm.
may be at a deficit because you have done everything that you can just to plug through the day. And at the end of the day, nobody's called, nobody's text. You may need to just look up some inspirational quotes to inspire yourself, because you don't even know how anymore.
Yeah. And one thing I started doing, and I mentioned this to you before, Tina, is I started a visual journal where I take
Yes.
bits and pieces of my day or my life and I put them into a journal. And when I look, when I do this, and
I
this is
want you
just
to
my,
explain, like you're talking about a napkin at a restaurant. You wrote down what you
yes,
did, and like talk about it
it would
because it
be,
is so
so when I
beautiful.
visually journal, so like this weekend is my daughter's birthday. So what's going to happen is we're going to go out to eat from to a farm to table. So I'm going to take a napkin from the restaurant if they have a napkin with their logo. I could take or I may just take a picture of the menu. It could be any little thing that happened that day. If I got a gas receipt, or maybe it's the receipt from the dinner, just to remind me, or if we took a group picture to print that out and put that in the journal. So when I look back at that, I realize I thought that my life wasn't great, having been diagnosed with cancer and having a heart attack, and things had changed so drastic for me so quickly. But what visual journaling has taught me is that my life is not so bad. I have created so many positive moments, and those positive moments outweigh any of the things that I am struggling with.
Yes.
You know, this will endure for a moment, but then I look back at that journal and I had so many great moments, even if they were small moments. I had
Hmm.
so many great moments. So I can look back and flip through those pages and say, you know what? This was a good day. I remember that. I remember how much I smiled that day. I remember how much my kids smiled that day. I remember the conversations that we had at that particular moment. I remember that being a high. So when I get really, really down, I can go back to that journal and remind myself, you know what, girl, you are living, you are connected, and, you know, focus on these moments rather than the moments that bring you back down. And those moments that bring you back down are just as important, because those moments that bring you down in hard times, those hard times make you stronger.
Mm. Hey,
Those hard
Rhonda.
times help to build character within you. Those hard times help you, now you can go, and as you have gone through those seasons, you can now help somebody else get through those seasons.
Mm.
So the good and the bad, but you just always have to remind yourself that you're here for a reason. And when people pass on, I always tell people, I don't like to give gifts. I rather give an experience. I rather have an experience with you, because you know what? I can give you a sweater, and then that sweater gets babies on it, and the next thing you know, it is over at the Goodwill. But when we create an experience together,
Right.
right? That's forever.
It is.
That's forever. And I just met you, late last year, but we have so many experiences together
Yeah.
that that will always remind me. There's things that you have taught me. There's things that you have shown me, So I like to create experiences. And that's what I would urge anybody who is grieving and feeling lonely: create some experiences and get back out there. And an experience could be something so small: going to Baskin Robbins, picking from one of the 31 flavors.
You ain't got to push me on that.
you know and if that's something that you had done with your loved one that has
Right.
passed on, continue some of those memories, even though it might be difficult. Honor them.
Yes.
Honor them. Honor them. And through that, I believe the universe is so powerful. By you going to the Baskin Robbins, you may meet someone, and that may change the trajectory and direction of your loneliness.
It can. Making a friend makes a big difference.
It can, just by going out. And then you don't know. Sometimes you meet people and they need you just as bad as you needed them.
Right. Absolutely. Wow,
So
Trish.
just, what I will say to anybody who's going through anything, a period of loneliness, know that it will pass, but take your time to process. No one should be rushing you through your process of loneliness. No one should be telling you that it's wrong and that you need to quickly re-engage. We have to start meeting people where they are and stop passing judgment on where they are and what they're doing and how they're processing, because everybody does it differently and everybody does it at a different pace. So we've got to really get more comfortable with allowing people to process how they want to process, but also prop them up if they need that support.
Girl, you didn't say nothing but the truth, because it's hard being with somebody in an uncomfortable space, but sometimes that's all you just need to do is be there. Talk about the stuff that you normally talked about. Let them just be, because life has its ebbs and flows. You don't have to try to fix something. You can just be with somebody and just let it be. And that is enough support.
Yeah, maybe if you know that they like a Happy Meal from McDonald's, you drop that off. You don't have to stay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to stay, but it's just knowing that you thought about them. It could be so much as sharing this live to somebody.
And that is why I want to have this conversation, because we're either all just finished going through something now, or on the other side of it. But we're
Mm-hmm.
always in some part of that process. And how we've all navigated that can help and encourage somebody else. There may be somebody in the chat that may have been in the box last week, but life has been hitting them. And it's like, I can see so many people saying that they resonated, that spoke to them, that they needed that it's okay to just be able to share what we've been able to go through in our life. It does help other people. And even when we're in the midst of the muck right now, as you were talking about the things you're going through now, this is how you've been navigating it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as I'm going through my FYP, I'll land on Jazzy. And I didn't realize that Jazzy was a poet, because some of her first videos that I saw were she was dancing and singing.
Mm-hmm.
But then last week sometime, she read a poem. And I was like, okay, Jazzy, I didn't know. I didn't know. And I was
Yep.
like, look, and her gift, is her poetry. That is what she's giving back to people. Things that resonate, things that, other people are probably feeling and don't even know how to articulate those feelings, you know?
Yep. She's amazing.
So, it's when you don't know how you're going to touch people. You don't know where you're going to touch people, but don't give up. Don't give up. And even if you are feeling lonely, even if you are isolating, know that you still have the ability to change yourself and change and help others around you.
Very true.
You always have purpose.
We always have purpose. Absolutely. Thank you,
So yeah.
Trish, so much.
Well,
If you can
thank
stick
you.
around,
I
if you
will.
want to drop, I understand, but you are more than welcome to stay. I'm going to share a quote from you. I'm going to share a quote with you from Oprah Winfrey. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Let me read that again from Oprah Winfrey. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever have enough. Jazz, what would you like to share?
I would just like to point out her talking before me was like the perfect segue. But anyways,
Okay, she hyped you up, and here's Jazzy, our poet.
I'll say for like my experience with loneliness, I can say for as long as I can remember, I've always felt this like extreme feeling of just being lonely. It could be in a room full of people. I was constantly surrounded by people, especially after my mom passed. I made sure I was always surrounded by people, but no matter how many people I had around me, I was always so lonely, and I never understood it. My entire childhood, I sat here and I questioned why I felt so lonely when I was doing everything I could to not feel that way. And it wasn't until I worked at an assisted living facility, and I was only a server, but I did get to interact with the residents, and it really put me in, it put it into perspective for me that no matter how many people are around you, no matter how many people are saying they're here for you and they're helping you, you can feel so lonely to the point where your brain is going to block out all that help those people are giving you, all that support those people are giving you, and you're just going to feel stuck by yourself. And it was like I was being told on a regular by these residents that me smiling at them made their day, that me asking them how their day was the difference between them having a good day and having a bad day. Me
Wow.
sitting down and
Okay, Blues, thank you.
me sitting down and conversating with them was the difference between them not wanting to continue because they just didn't feel like they had anything else to live for, to wanting to continue and wanting to like figure out a way to have a will to live, because at this point most of those residents, they didn't have family coming to visit them. They were isolating themselves from all of the other residents. Some of them weren't even doing the like activities they had for all of the residents together. As much as they were all in the same room, in the same building, for the same reasons, they were so lonely. And they
Wow.
really put it into perspective for me. And I was 18. I was like, I was not expecting to like have this big epiphany in my brain just from where I work. And I mean, it helped make it a reality for me, made me realize, but it didn't take away that lonely feeling when I had went to college, and it was that big transition from being around all of these people that I had finally found a good group of friends, and then transitioning to not being at home and being around all of these new people and having to like form these new friendships. And when I did go to college, the friends I had at home, they didn't message me anymore. They didn't check on me anymore. And it
Oh,
like
okay.
made it that much worse because I was like, I thought you were here. Like, what happened to that? Just because I moved an hour away doesn't mean that that support, like that friendship goes away. And in having to sit here and like I was questioning it day in and day out, I would stay up at night thinking about it. And so now I implement it in my own life that no matter what, I always try to send messages to people. Um,
You do. You are much better at it than me. Sorry. Them look good messages too.
I try to send messages to people, and yeah, I like send them to a lot of people, but I never send the same one. I always want people to know that like no.
Wow.
I always want people to know like they're not alone, that they're loved, that they're seen, that they have someone in their corner. And a lot of the times when you're going through something, if it is truly weighing on your mental, the more likely you are to isolate yourself because you are struggling, you are drowning in that yourself.
Yes.
But I found what's helped me when I'm truly struggling is me reaching out to people when I'm struggling myself. Not only helps me not feel as lonely and help me not feel so stuck in it, it also like it's my way of also telling someone like, hey, I'm thinking of you. I'll send little quotes, like I'll see a post on Instagram that's a quote and it'll make me think of someone, and I'll send it to that person and I'm like, this made me think of you. I'll I'll be listening to a song and I'll hear a lyric and it makes me think of someone. I'll send it to that person and say, hey, this made me think of you. My favorite thing right now is writing poems for people, and I'll make it in their favorite color with all of their favorite like elements and things on it. And I save it for days when I know they're really struggling so that they can feel loved. Like working at that nursing home put it into perspective for me that it is the teeniest, tiniest acts of kindness, the teeniest, tiniest messages that make the difference between someone feeling lonely and someone feeling loved and like appreciated and seen and valued. And it, because I struggled with it for so long, I was like, I never want someone to feel the way I did. Because I sat here my entire childhood, even with rooms full of people, feeling so lonely. And I was like, we're not doing that for everyone else. I'm going to make people feel loved.
Aw, that is amazing. That one working in the nursing home changed everything. It sounded like what Trish was saying about going to get ice cream, you make one decision and how that impacts and changes so many other things.
Well, and I was originally when I got that job, it's just because I needed a job to pay for my car because I was 17. I was like, okay, I got a car. I need to pay for it. My friend said she worked at a place, would get me a job there. And I was like, okay, like I'll get a job there. I don't really want to work there, but it works. It's money. And then
Hey,
in working there, I was like, yeah, I'm making money and I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm also getting so much more out of this experience. Not a lot of people want to sit there and work, and it's such a like depressing thing to say, but so many people do not want to work in nursing homes because they feel like it drags their energy down because it makes whatever they're going through like amplified. Because you see
uh-huh.
these people with no family, no support system, they're there by themselves having to figure it out while they're like having nothing else to do because it's a retirement home. And
Right.
it was like a rewarding experience for me because I sit here and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't originally supposed to work that job, but I'm so glad I did because I got to learn a lot from it. I got to learn how to be there for other people and what I need to do to like certain roles I need to play in people's lives and like different ways that I was lacking in supporting myself that I could support other people in. Like, I learned a lot at 18 years old working in a nursing home.
Thank you, Kimmy. You learned a lot in these 21 years, Jazzy. You leveling up every day.
And I think, because it's true, in a room full of people, you can feel extremely lonely. And when you are struggling, like, and you're down bad in your emotions, it is hard to see the light. It is hard to see the positivity that can come out of it. But one person messaging you on a day you're particularly struggling really bad can make the difference between you not knowing what you're going to do and feeling stuck in it and feeling stagnant in it to you saying, hey, maybe there's something I can do to get myself out of this funk. Because
That
sometimes
was wow.
you can't be your own personal cheerleader sometimes. Sometimes you have to let other people be there for you because you can't be there for yourself. And
Yeah.
it's a difficult thing to come to terms with too, because if you are a person who wants to be strong all the time, who's ingrained it in your brain like I have to be the strong one, it's hard to accept that you can't always be the strong one, that you have to lean on other people, that you have to let other people be there for you. But it's also, in it being a struggle, super rewarding because you're like, I am letting people in. I'm not closing myself off anymore. And me letting other people lean on me, I'm letting them lean on me as well. Or you know what I mean. That was worded
Right.
wrong.
No, no, no. You don't have to always be the strong one. And I have learned that from different challenges. I learned it the clearest when I was dealing with breast cancer and my inability to do so many things. Uh, and the being able to do that just helped me learn how to receive support and to be vulnerable and to be able to accept other people helping me because I couldn't do anything. And that help allowed me to heal better because I stopped trying to be superwoman with a cape on and let my body heal from what it was going through. And sometimes it takes those big moments where life is lifing and you can't do anything and you have to rely on other people to be able to help you, the people that you've decided to let in. And that can be so rewarding.
Carmen said in a comment that there's strength in vulnerability. And like,
Ooh,
for me, I've always struggled with vulnerability, specifically because growing up, especially after my mom passed, it was always like your emotions are too much, too big for us. Like, we don't
right,
know how to handle that. So, and I know that's an experience with a lot of people. Like, you want to feel your feelings, but the people around you don't want you to feel them because it's too much for them. But
right,
when it comes to like vulnerability, you can't ever really have a genuine connection with people and like understand them and ask them to be vulnerable with you unless you're willing to be vulnerable with yourself and them. And that was one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in my grief, too, is that while, yes, I can expect myself to be strong sometimes, I also have to let myself be vulnerable. Even if I'm feeling extremely lonely, even if I'm struggling really badly, even if I don't know what to do with everything I'm feeling, as long as I let myself be vulnerable in those feelings and let myself sit in that and feel it, then I will be able to go forward from there. But I can't do anything with that until I allow myself to be vulnerable first.
I have a question. What does it mean to be vulnerable to yourself? And thank you for sharing that.
I think part of being vulnerable with myself means like cold, hard truth, honesty with myself. Because I feel
Okay.
like when, no matter what, everyone at some point at some point, some people aren't honest with themselves, whether it's with their grief or with whatever their thoughts are in their brain, whatever their feelings are.
Okay.
Sometimes you cannot be honest with yourself because you know that is not something you can face yet. That's not something that you want to face.
Okay.
And so being vulnerable for me in a lot of senses is being honest with myself, because if I can't be honest with myself, I don't know what I'm going to feel. I don't know how it's going to make me like I don't know how it's going to affect me, so I avoid it. But in
Okay.
avoiding it, it makes it 10 times harder to feel anything because I'm not
Got you.
allowing myself to be honest. I'm not allowing myself to be vulnerable.
Okay. I see. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to share another quote from Walt Whitman. Keep your face always towards the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you.
Oh, I love that quote.
What do you think, Trish? What do you think, Jazzy, that quote?
I was actually just talking to Mama last night about how, as positive as I am sometimes it's really hard not to feed in the negativity. But also, a thing I've learned over the years, especially when it comes to having to be there for myself, is not to let myself drown in the darkness and whatever is going on, because
Mm,
the more positive outlook you have, the more you let yourself think about the positive things that can happen, the positive experiences you can get from not drowning in that darkness and allowing yourself to like see the hope in what could happen and what you could become makes the biggest difference in your mindset and how you think and how you present yourself in the world.
excellent. Trish, what would you say about that quote? Thank you, Jazz.
Um, First off, I love the quote, and it reminds me a little bit of what I was talking about earlier with the visual journal. Focusing on what is in front of you and what is going well, and showing your face to the sun, and everything else will fall behind you. That is one of the things that immediately came to my mind. Excuse me, my allergies
Yes.
are acting up. You have to really focus on, as hard as it is, focus on what is good and, what's going well. And then, just like Maya Angelou said, if it's not going the way you want, you have to change your attitude and perspective towards that situation. So, how can
Right.
you make it better? How can you make it different? Is it letting go? Is it moving on? Is it doing what? How are you going to get a different result? But at the same
Excellent.
time, honoring yourself and your feelings, because I believe truly that there is room in our lives for us to process, and we need to process, because when you are not healed from a trauma, you can't show up as your best self. You don't even realize that you're not showing up as your best self.
That part.
So you have to realize that, yes, it's okay for me to take this time and work through this in the pace in which I need to. But try to focus on some of those good things. But also we have to grow from some of the things that have impacted us that might not have been as positive.
Excellent. I'm going to thank you for sharing, ladies. I'm going to share some other different ways on how to manage loneliness. It says engage in activities that you enjoy, pursue hobbies, pick up a new hobby, or revisit an old one, read, listen to music, or exercise. Engage in activities that bring you joy and help you relax. Learn a new skill. Taking a class or workshop can be a great way to learn something new and meet new people. Travel virtually. If you are unable to travel physically, explore different places through virtual tours and documentaries. I never thought of that. Practice self care. And that's a huge buzzword. So it's interesting some of the things that they say here. Be kind to yourself. Acknowledge your feelings and give yourself permission to feel them without judgment. I think that kind of leans into what Jazzy was saying about being honest to ourselves. Take time for yourself. Schedule activities that allow you to relax and recharge. Prioritize sleep. Getting enough sleep is crucial for both your physical and mental health. This one, eat a healthy diet. Nourishing your body with healthy foods can improve your mood and energy level. Get regular exercise. Physically active can help reduce stress and improve your overall well being. And seek professional help. Talk to your health care provider, your primary care provider. If you're struggling with loneliness, reach out to your health care provider for guidance and support. Make an appointment with a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist. A therapist can help you develop coping strategies and address many underlying issues. What do you ladies think and everyone in the chat, what do you think of those recommendations? And would anybody else like to come up and share your experience of loneliness? Maybe you're lonely now. Maybe you've dealt with loneliness in the past and things that have been helpful for you. More than welcome to have anyone come up and share their journey with loneliness. Jazzy, what did you want to say? I see you came off mute.
I know a lot of people put emphasis on self-care, but I feel like a lot of people also have like a misunderstanding of what self-care truly is because it
Okay.
doesn't have to be anything big. It can be the
Right.
teeniest little things that make you happy, that make you feel pretty, that make you feel loved within yourself. It could be for one tiny night a week doing your nails so that you feel confident within yourself, and that's your act of self-love for the week. It could be daily affirmations in journals so that you can like motivate yourself in the morning and then you can look at it at night. It could be, and the same goes for like daily journal entries that you see, like you write in the morning and then you reflect on that later at night. It could be spa days. It could literally be anything. Self-love isn't these big ginormous acts that you have to like do every single day. It's the little small things that really matter, that they may not be significant to anyone else, but if they matter to you, that's what's important. If they help you, that's what's important.
Okay. Good night, Trish. Thank you for coming up and sharing. Did you want to say anything before you checked out?
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you always to you for sharing your platform and allowing us to share our stories and our journeys so that we can help others. And just want to show gratitude to everybody who has dropped me a gift. I appreciate it. And I am going to drop down to the chat. Today is my daughter's birthday, so we're getting ready to sing happy birthday to her.
Oh, go.
All right, talk
Thank
to
you
y'all
for
later.
coming through. Thank you for sharing some of your evening with me, and happy birthday to her.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Hey, Mama Boom, thank you for coming up. What did you want to share, ma'am?
Well, I have several different stories that display loneliness, but I'm gonna talk about the one when I had my shoulder replacement. Um, Man, when when you show up for everybody else and you feel like the world is letting you down when you um in a situation. I was in a situation where I could not comb my hair. I couldn't do anything because with me having that double surgery, of my shoulder and my elbow. I literally couldn't do. I could barely wipe myself.
Wow.
Um, you know, and you just in the loneliness, you feel like you're such a burden, to others, and you don't want to ask, but then when you do ask and people don't show up for you, it's really really a bad feeling. I mean, truth be told, if it was not for my TikTok family during that period of time, I would have been lost because,
Wow.
you know, well, minus my 81-year-old mom, my 81-year-old mom,
Your
she
mom don't
came,
play.
no, she came over here, combed my hair, cooked meals for me, and that was a bad feeling because I have grown daughters and grown
Mm.
granddaughters, and that are right here, and everybody is just, I got a sister right here. I didn't see her, I didn't even get a phone call from
Mm.
her to say, hey, sissy, what can I do to help you? Nothing. So I mean, it's a lonely, lonely road. It's I know each one of these people love me, but they just people don't have a sense of other people's needs until they experience certain things, and then they understand, oh, now I understand what you was going through. Oh, really? And you want to say, hey, keep that same energy. I had to tell somebody that last night, didn't I, Jazzy?
Maybe just a little bit.
Ah,
Do you think when you're
I'm
always
like,
strong, when people don't really get it, that when you need help?
yeah, well, and especially, with me, because, with being a former police officer, all these different things, and I tend to not let people know what's really wrong with me until it's just so bad.
Okay.
And so then they didn't see the gradual come on. So
Okay.
they can't relate with how you here. It can't be that bad because you just start talking about it, but I didn't talk about it and complain about it. Well, I don't call it complaining. I call it explaining. I didn't explain. I didn't explain stuff until it just was totally out of control. And so I understand where they come from, but I'm like, it's still lonely.
Lonely, lonely is not always about being alone. It's that lack of connection. It's the lack of feeling like somebody cares. And
Yeah.
how do you combat that for you?
I just did a lot of praying that I would, that God would keep my heart posture in place, and not
Mm.
let me become vindictive
Okay.
because, that one part of you want to clap back
You know I got that
and,
issue.
and show you better than I could tell you, but
Cause you
I
from
didn't want to
Missouri,
be
like that show me
the
like
show me state. Well, what?
neck be
I'm like,
moving, be like, mm.
nah, but I didn't want to be that person.
Right.
I wanted to stay the person that God has groomed me to be. And so it was tough. It was tough. If it had not have been for Calvin Boone, Kimmy, Baby Blues, yeah, and a ton others, but I mean, but during that particular time, those are the three people that I talked to every single solitary day, 2-3 times a day.
Okay, so I'm
And
gonna
they,
ask a question. So people can make real friends out here in TT.
girl, Yes, absolutely. I mean, hey, you can't tell me these people in my family. I mean, it would be a battle. Seriously,
That's my mom. Like, I
seriously,
don't care.
seriously. I'm here to tell you. But boy, we love, Kimmy, Ree, all of them have actually slept in my house.
Mm.
So yes, these are my girls. This is my family for real, for real, for real. You
I'm wearing
know.
my bracelets, sensual down there movement. I am more than a widow sporting my bracelets. If you like to get them sensual movement, be making these. Yes, yes. And oh, not Kimmy said comfy bed too.
Oh, comfy bed. Mm-hmm.
And when
No,
you say
but
like they were there from you, I mean, I'm hearing from the outskirts like they were there like you were having surgery, taking out stitches or something. If I remember, what was that story?
oh yeah, when the lady, when they came to my house to take out my staples, they came and they Calvin and Kimmy was on that phone with me, and baby, because trying to pull some staples out of an elbow, which is bone,
Oof,
imagine that.
oof. I'm
I'm
such a punk.
crying, screaming. I'm crying, screaming. They trying to make me laugh. They had me laughing. I didn't even. They had me laughing so much when they got to the chest part. Um, when they were taking it out of the shoulder, I just, I was laughing so hard. She said she was through, and I didn't even feel her take those out. But the elbow, they had the. I mean, I know they was cringing, and I know they, was wanting to cry with me. But shoot, that was so much pain.
Oh, it was a
But it
video like
got
they could see it.
no. They were just
Oh,
on the phone with me.
okay, okay.
Um, but just knowing that they was right there,
Right.
it was like they were there holding my hand, and they was like,
Mm.
mm-mm. And I remember times when Calvin would actually sit, all of them have sat on the phone with me at times when, because I just wouldn't sleep.
Okay.
And they would make me go, they would stay on that phone until I went to sleep.
Wow.
And they would just let me sleep, and they would just do whatever, and to make me sleep, you know because it was just, I don't know, but I wouldn't trade none of them for all the tea in China, you know
Thank you for sharing that. And you go live in the evenings or the wee hours. Can you share like why you go live like that and what that means? And that's you combating loneliness, what that looks like for you.
Absolutely. When I lost my son, I didn't have anybody there that understood the loss of a child, because no one had lost a child in my circle, in my family, or anything. Nobody had ever lost a child, so they didn't know how to what to do with me, or they just felt like, okay, well, jobs give you 3 days to grieve, okay, get over it, it'll be all right,
Mm.
and it would be the wee hours of the morning that it would be like Satan playing with me, telling me I wasn't worthy, I wasn't good enough, and making me think all this crazy stuff. And so I I just was determined that one day I was going to pay back, and I was going to be able to be out there, for any and everybody that needed somebody, because the wee hours of the morning is when everything, think about it, anytime you're going through something, then wee hours of the morning is when everything is really heavy on you. I,
Yes.
I don't know why it is that way, but it is. And I guess because things are moving by day,
Okay.
and it's a lot of movement. But then when your mind has to sit still, you think about all the things, you're hearing these little voices talking to you. telling you, why you still here? I mean, I heard all that. Why are you still here? Your husband left you, meaning my first husband, y'all, not my second husband that I've been married to for 23 years, but my first husband, my children's father. Um, he left, and he just did not want to have any responsibility. Left me pregnant with two small kids. And just went on about life like, carefree. So I was determined that if ever I had the opportunity, um, and I started it long before I started doing a live and doing night intercessor, because I never go to sleep before 3 o'clock in the morning, because 12 to 3, that's the intercessory hours, um, the night watchman. So I've always made myself available by phone to any and anybody that needed me. And believe me, ask that little one up above me. Do I get 3 o'clock phone calls? Yes, I do.
I've been calling you like 4 times a day sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and she does, depending on what she's going through at the time, But she's gonna call me every night before she goes to sleep. If she comes in at 3 in the morning, she gonna call me at 3. It don't matter. And don't look. Jazzy will tell you in a minute. She can be in the bathtub. I was in the shower one day. Jazzy called me, and she said, "What you doing, Mama?" I said, I'm in the shower." And she talking about, "Oh, okay." Most people will say, "Okay, well, call me when you get out." Nah, Jazzy. She like, "Okay,
No,
I
she
got
do
a
not
right where."
care.
She like, "I got a right where I want it." She can't move.
When I was working, I would text her every time I got off work, and I would text her when I got home.
That's so funny. Yes, she does, and I love it for her, because she needs to know that she is truly loved, and
Yes.
she's another one, and all y'all that can pour out love to Jazzy, do it, because she doesn't feel that she doesn't get it at home, and she doesn't, you know, she doesn't she's very underappreciated, and so, and she's such a sweetheart,
And
so all the
she found
love
what
we
she
can give her.
needed.
Yeah, she did. I sometimes laugh and ask God, "What you doing?" You got a funny sense of humor, because you gave me a Pandy, you gave me a Jazzy, you gave me a Shondell, you gave me a Pretty P. You gave me all these yappers, Shakira. You gave me all these yappers, and sometimes I get smart, and I'll get two of them on the phone together. You gave me a Barbie Love. I put them on the phone together, because one's go yap yap yap, and I can lay there, and they like, "Mama, you sleep?" Mama be dozing on off.
Mama be asleep sometimes.
They like, "Mama, you snoring?"
Yeah, put it
Hey,
on mute when you do that. Thank you so much. Let
hey.
them talk to each other, right?
Exactly. And sometimes you got to do it like that, because I can't do them 3-4 hour conversations, back to back. So I'll put them on the phone together if I can. So yeah, yeah.
And so what
Um,
time do you go live like that, ma'am?
um, when I go live at night, it is on Wednesdays and Friday nights from 11 Central Time, 12 Eastern, until 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I try to make sure that, I call it calling off from work. you know, calling off. I have to ask God if I can call off. but I try not to call off on the night shifts because those are when people truly need you the most. And been a proven factor that so many, I never know what's coming in or who's gonna be having a major meltdown or whatever, but it seems like every Wednesday, every Friday. So, and I'm like, okay, Lord, well, am I maybe needing to go to all nights? You know, um, you know, I'm talking that over with him to maybe give up my day lives. So I
Oh,
don't know.
wow. Okay. More to come. All right. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am. Anything
thank
else?
you. No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to share a quote from Dolly Parton. If
Oh,
you
my
don't like
girl.
the if you don't like the road you're traveling, start paving another one. Dolly Parton. If you don't like the road you're traveling, I'm sorry, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. From Dolly Parton. Hey, Carol.
Hello.
Thanks for coming up. You were sharing there in the chat. I wanted to hear it all. Hey, Tammy. Thanks for coming in.
Well, to Mama Boone, oh my gosh, I feel like she's saying part of my story. My first husband um, was an alcoholic and a narcissist and was in prison more than out.
Mm.
And when he had 8 DUIs in 5 years. And yeah, in the last year alone, he had three of them. The last one he had was 4 days before he packed a U-Haul and left us. My kids were 3 and 4, never saw him again. And yeah, he just didn't want to be a dad. And 10.5 months ago, I lost my son. So I I I know his death was not. It was an accidental death, is what they called it. But I still have mom guilt.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if that's how you felt, Mama. I just curious.
Okay, so tell me when you say mom guilt, why did you have guilt if it was an accident?
Because I wasn't there. He was
Oh,
31, living in his apartment. He was fine, but as a mom, we feel like
you feel like you're
we
supposed to protect them.
yes.
Okay. So the reason I asked you that is because when I lost my son, I was a police officer, so I felt that. I felt all that. I'm out here serving and protecting other people, and I lose mine, and I couldn't do nothing about it. And he was perfectly healthy. It was just because some doctors experimented and wanted to make a name for themselves because they thought that I was going to unalive because the afterbirth was left in me. But if
Mm.
there was nothing wrong with my son, you
Okay.
know. So yeah, but I felt that, I mean, to the point where when we went for the reading of the autopsy, um, you know, for them to determine the actual cause of unaliving,
Mhm.
um, I went in my police uniform and I had very bad intentions, let me say that, so that I don't get banned. Since I
Right.
gotta be a guest speaker on Friday.
Can we not get
um,
banned? Thank you.
yeah, but that was the me before I became a mama boom. Yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely had some other intentions, and if it wasn't for one attorney on one side of me and the other one on the other side, it would have ended up real bad because I felt like uh they had murdered my son. You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
there was nothing wrong with him. You know,
Right.
and then y'all rule it as natural causes. That's not natural causes. Let's call it what it is. You know, So, but that's a whole nother story, a whole nother day. Because I got sold out by the attorneys. We had 9 different counts of malpractice, and they got paid big from everything that I've been told from people that worked at the hospital.
Mm.
My case is so sealed that it's in the vault of the hospital. Nobody could go and just get my records. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, they gave me a couple of $1,000. I was young. I didn't know no better. But I have no faith in attorneys. I have no faith. I don't have no faith in nothing for real but God, as far as, people go. Because, when you say lonely, I have been let down in every which way possible by everybody around me at one point or another, in my real life. So it's like, yeah, you just, but but I had to come to the realization I'm either gonna be a victim or I'm gonna be a victor. And and that's when I came up with the analogy that I can either I can't change the situations that have happened, but I can't let that rob me of my future and whatever my destiny is. I'm still here. You're still living. And so if you're still living, you're still breathing, you're breathing for a reason. Your purpose has not been fulfilled, or otherwise the Lord would have brought you home. So we must move past all the hurt, and the pain. I mean, I think everybody's got some pain from when they were kids for one reason or another. I mean, abuse and stuff like that was never my portion. But and I can honestly, praise God, say that I've never been abused by a male, physically, ever. So, but it there has been a lot of loneliness in both marriages. You can feel, you can be married, you can live right in the house with somebody and just feel totally all alone. You know,
Yes.
it happens. It's not something that you just tuck and run away from, but it is a reality. I'm never gonna be that person that's gonna stand here and tell you everything is always hunky dory. No, it's not. It's not.
No.
But any marriages that are 20 plus years, I'm sure they got a ton of stories to tell.
Indeed.
Seriously, yeah.
Right.
But what I like to impress upon all these younger people, or newly people that are married, to always remember that you took it was 3 people that took those vows. You took those vows before God, so it was 3 of you, and you can't just run away. You got to stand and you know fight for it. So, but that's a whole nother topic, and we ain't going there. We need to do a whole class 1-on-1 on that. You know, we'll do a marriage, a actual marriage class.
Ooh, I'm down with that. I'm gonna share another quote from my hymn, Ham. I learned a long time ago that there is something worse than missing the gold, and that's not pulling the trigger, not
Wow.
even starting.
I'll let
Something
somebody
worse
else
than,
take that.
huh?
I said I'll let somebody else take that.
Nope. I mean, I can say for me, sometimes the fear of failure will prevent you from doing anything, but that's leaves you staggered and not doing anything. That's worse than failing, the not doing of anything. And the best that we can do is at least try. And it can be
I
hard
think
because sometimes we feel like, well, I don't want to face how I feel because I feel like I'll never I'll lose myself in the way I'm feeling. But the best thing you can do is at least try something. You may be saying, "Oh, I said in 2025 I was going to lose weight and I haven't done anything." Okay, today, do a 30-second plank. Today, um, eat some fruit instead of the chips. Today, do something for you to help you reach your goal. Maybe you said that you were going to start walking 5 miles. Hey, Reverend T. Um, so Reverend Teacher, Mama Boom, and yeah, Drink Water are all going to be part of a panel discussion that we're having Friday on Sisters in Grief, and everyone's coming from different perspectives. And let me tell y'all, they got homework. They have assigned questions. This is not a light conversation. They are coming ready to share and just bring their whole self to this conversation. Mama Boom got her email. She was like, "I got homework."
I was
Reverend T,
like,
if you want to come
wow.
up, let me know. They have questions they're going to talk about. Uh, Girl, did you see that? Yeah, you saw the homework. And so this conversation, I've never seen anything like this where women have come together to talk about grief and to just be transparent about it. So the flyer is out. So I'm going to be live Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And there's going to be a total of 9 people on the panel. And we are talking and sharing. It is a We do have assigned questions, but there's going to be a lot of freestyle conversation. Um, I recently had a task of telling a longtime friend Angie, and I passed. Okay, Rhonda, the idea that 8 years later I am still telling people about Mark. I'm like, I needed y'all to get the memo. I needed y'all all to know by now already. Like, I needed this not to still be news for somebody. So I unfortunately I can relate to that altogether. Oh, thank you so much. Hey girl, hey. Thank you so much. Carol, was there something else you wanted to share?
Um, I don't know. Not
Okay.
not particularly, but just that I'm feeling just so much, and I'm trying to work through it. But I see I don't have, how can I say this?
Support?
I have support, and with my daughter, I can't even talk to her about my son because it hurts her too much.
Right.
I can't even mention his name without her just giving me that look of, okay, mom, you can stop talking about him now.
But you need to
You know,
Well,
talk.
but I
well, Miss
need to
Curl,
talk.
you can always reach out to me. It's been 40 years. It'll be 40 years in September, and I mean, I still talk about my son. In fact, we're planning his 40th celebration.
Birthday. Yeah.
My daughters wanted to do a 40-year celebration for their brother, so we're going to do that, and they're working it out, and this is what they want to do, so we're going to do it. But we always, one of the things that I found to it helped me cope is the fact that we do celebrate him. We don't try to brush him under the rug. And I actually, you want to make me mad, count grandkids or count and don't include my son.
Slim Shady over there.
That part. And you should see my neck rolling now.
I know what face
uh
you're making and everything.
oh yeah. Yeah, I'm like, no, because he was a real live person. He still gets included in any count. He yeah. So yeah, we don't between me and my girls, we do not allow him to be gone. And I put his death certificate and birth certificate in a frame together because the attorneys lost all my pictures. So I don't even have a picture of my son,
Oh
and that's
my,
that that's hard because
right.
I constantly wonder what he would look like now. Every time I see a guy that looks like me, because he looked like me at birth. And hey Lex,
Hey,
I
Lex.
always I always think of him when I see guys that kind of favor me or have my eyes or whatever, and I'm like, I wonder if that what my son would look like.
Mm,
And so there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. But I put him in between the birth certificate and death certificate, in between my girls' graduation pictures, in my office, so that I have to look at him every day. I don't want him to be forgotten no more than thank you, baby. I don't want him to. I don't ever want him to. If it's a such thing as sin from beyond, I don't
mm-hmm.
ever want him to think that just because he's gone, Mama forgot you. Never, never.
Right.
Yep.
So
And she means it, Carol. She's not saying it half-heartedly. She
No,
means it.
he means
No,
it.
I can tell. I can tell. Can I tell you my motto that I said to myself that I kind of just learned to live with
mhm.
after I lost my last husband? I need to. I This is how I got through it. I need to live life to the fullest until I take my last breath, because we are
Mm,
not promised tomorrow. I
We're
live
not.
by.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because then you will make the best out of every breath that you take.
mm-hmm.
And you don't take
No,
those breaths for granted because you know that it could end at any time. So that's a great way to cope. Because for me, what would save, I tell people my son saved my life for real. In his unaliving, it really saved my life because I probably would not be as close to the Lord as I am today
Mm,
if I had not have gone through all of that, all the way to God talking to me and asking me, I gave you what you wanted. All you asked for was a son. I gave you a son. And who are you to tell me when I can call my child home? I only loaned him to you. And we're all on loan from God. So, I just look at every day and wanted to live right to make sure that I will see my son again.
mm,
Because I know for a fact that he's in heaven. And I wanted to live right to make sure I get there. And so that's why I say, my son really saved my life. Because if it was not, I mean, it's so strange. I don't know about anybody else that went through grief, but so many people offered me drugs and everything to try to take the pain away from me. And I used to get mad. I had to go and apologize to all those people because I stopped being their friend. And I'm like, you trying to take one problem and give me another one. And that was the way I felt about it at the time. But they were trying, once I really came into the Lord, I came to understand they were trying to help me in the best way they knew how, because they
right.
didn't know how. So, I have found some of them. There are a couple that I still have not found yet. But I try to make sure that I make amends, on that because, I was pushing people away. Like, I don't know who said it on the panel, but I was pushing those people away when they were trying to help me in the best way they knew how,
That
and
was
it was
blue.
not, yeah, it definitely was not the right way to help me, but, you know, and I'm just glad that God had his arms wrapped around me even when I didn't know God like that,
Mm,
that he did not allow me to weaken in my spirit to go ahead and try to run from reality. I didn't want, I mean, I wanted the pain to go away, but I didn't want it to go away that way.
right.
you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, it, you're never alone. So don't ever think you are. There's always somebody that's willing to talk to you.
Yeah, it's just that, I've found, widows and other people, and I mean, I've found a few people on here, but for losing a child, but and I know he wasn't a child, he was an adult, but he's still my baby. He was my
It's
firstborn.
always gonna be your baby.
He was always going to be my baby, and it's just it devastated me. It just like and I get so many people telling me, Carol, you've lost so many people. How do you do it? I just keep going because there's nothing else. What other choice do I have?
Well, I look at it like this. That's your cross to bear. It's funny because every last one of my aunts and uncles, it seems like I was the person. My aunt, I had gone to Atlanta, and while I was in Atlanta for a conference, she fell and she hit her head, and she unalived. Right? I happened to be there. Now that's one of my mother's older sisters. So I had the task of, contacting all the family here, even though I was in Atlanta, to let them know. It seems like I've always been that person, and I don't. They got a word for that, and it just seems like I'm always the one that's connected with anybody that leaves, whether it's a cousin, whether it's whoever.
You talking about a death
Um,
doula?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know I forget what they call it, but it's like it's like that's my job. You know, it became like it was a job because it was happening so often that it's like, oh Lord, why is it always me? And but then I came to the realization, well, if that's my cross to bear,
Mm.
then I'll carry it proudly. I'll do it to the best of my ability. But becomes hard sometimes. It's a tough calling. It seems horrific. I used to think that it was unfair that I would have to be the one to be there to help other people. When I lost my son, because I was like, I don't want to, return to that hospital again, and it wasn't even, my son hadn't even been gone long, and one of my cousins had lost um, one of the triplets because the boyfriend had um, shook him, shook him, shook her, and it detached her retina,
Mm.
um, and she was unaliving, and all her mother wanted was me. And I'm like, I'm not going to that hospital. I'm not going there. I'm not going in there. I think this is really cruel for y'all to even call me and ask me to come there. And I thought it was just terrible. But it was the best thing that ever happened because it wasn't the hospital itself that I was supposed to be angry with, or I had to. I call it returning to the scene of the crime.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Sometimes returning to the scene of the crime frees your soul,
Yes.
and it did. It freed my soul. Once I argued with everybody. I was not going. I was not going. What not going? But God said, "Yes, you are." And I'm like, "But why? Why would I
Okay.
have to? Why would I? Why would you send me here out of all the places, all these hospitals? Why are you gonna send me back there?" But it was the best thing that ever happened, because I learned then that when you stop feeling sorry or being caught up in your own pain and be there for
Mm.
somebody else's pain, It frees you from your pain. And that was a revitalizing experience within itself.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I see. When I lost my last husband, it was in 2021, and a year later, one of my good friends, was in the same ICU in the same hospital in this probably I didn't go in there. I just could not do it. I just could not do it. It was a year, but I tell you, I just could not do it. And I went to her funeral and I just said, "I'm sorry. I just couldn't do it." And I just had to release that because it would have been just too much of a trigger for me.
well, it's not everybody's calling. I'm a firm believer that God calls different people to do different things. So, and maybe that wasn't your calling to have to do that. He knows when we're ready to do what, and he knows what he's called us, what our purpose is in life. And so maybe that wasn't yours to do. So don't be hard on yourself about that, because everybody, like some people want to see their loved ones again, and they want the spirits to come and see them. I'm not that girl. As much as I love my son, and as much as I want to hold my son and see my son, I don't want to see my son again before it's time for me to see my son again. And the Lord knows. And so he don't give me that, you know. So that's why I say, hey, everybody has what they can do, what he knows what you can handle and what you can't. And so it's okay. But don't, and I just say all that to say, don't beat yourself up about what you can't, what you don't feel that you could do. Because he knows when each one of us is ready to handle whatever. He knew that I was ready to handle that situation, even though I didn't. And he will take you to the limits that he can take you to. So don't worry about what you can't.
Right. It's just, like I've been through a lot of grief. I admit that. And well, I'm an only child and I lost both parents. I lost my dad actually when I was 11 and I
I
lost my
lost my
mom.
dad when I was 12.
Okay. Yeah, and I lost my mom in 2015
Mm-hmm.
and I've lost two husbands and then my son.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It
And
is.
I have no aunts or uncles left. I'm like a generation skip. My parents married late in life. And so they were
Mm-hmm.
41 and 42 when they got married. And my mom was 43 when she had me. So I call myself a generation skip.
Oh wow.
And it's kind of been the joke of my life. My mom lived to be 90, so I mean, and I'm grateful to
Wow.
have that with her. Yeah. Well, actually, my mom's mom was 99. She
Okay.
was like 6 weeks from her 100th birthday, and she didn't want to be 100, and then she proved
Wow.
it.
Well, that
Wow.
sounds like my aunt, my favorite aunt, that I used to talk to every morning, every night. She lived to be 99, and I was seriously planning her 100th birthday. I had already contacted news people, everything, so that they would know when February the 3rd came, it was going to be her 100th birthday. And she fooled around and her cancer came back. And even though she was strong and healthy, they would not do the surgery. I mean, it was a surgery that could easily be performed. That she was not going to have any problems. And so, Marlboro Man wants to come up.
I know, but y'all
Um,
know I'm about to pass out.
so I'm gonna be real quick. So she
Ray, I have been up since old dark 30. I got to turn in, bruh. I cannot. I'm sorry. And I know Mama over there would probably give me the stank eye, but I sleep.
no, I ain't. No, I'm not. This your life, as you tell me. This your life.
Ray, I gotta get up in the morning. I no. Go ahead, Mom.
No, I'll finish this another day.
No, go ahead.
It's all good because it's okay.
Finish your statement. No, I'm just saying I can't start another conversation.
Oh, um, she they told her that the cancer was treatable, but she she was too old. Her number was too big. So
Mm.
they were even though she was healthy enough for surgery, they said if anything would go wrong, they could be sued because why would you operate on somebody that was 99? And so she said, well, y'all want me to sit around here and just get sick and get to the point where I can't take the pain? And she said, yeah, okay. A week later, she was gone.
I mean, 99 years. Can you blame her?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, it broke my heart, but and that was the one that I actually had to do. She picked me to do her eulogy.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
but she had been grooming me for it. She had been grooming me for it for weeks, because that's all she used to talk about. And I actually wrote a poem. I actually sent that to Jazzy. If tomorrow never comes.
And I was going to ask Jazzy, did she want to close us out with a poem?
And she ready.
I got it right here.
Okay, and then we're gonna say goodnight. I want to say thank you for everybody that's come through. Thank you for gifting the panel. Thank you for being part of this conversation. We talked about overcoming. The goal was to talk about loneliness and isolation. We were heavy on the loneliness and we intertwined the isolation. I think we did a good job. If you want a copy of the quotes that I shared, please email me. I'm gonna read the other four real quick. Winston Churchill. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Nelson Mandela, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. T.S. Eliot, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. Emma Stone, I can't think of a better representation of beauty than someone who is unafraid to be herself. So I can show you the post that I have, the information I have on combating feelings of isolation and loneliness. If you message me, I will gladly email it to you. Or if you want to join our grief Discord, you can ask Tawana, Lisa in the chat, Jazzy, Mama Boone, or myself. The Discord is open 24 hours a day. We're going to let Jazzy close us out with a poem. Friday night, we are going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sisters in Grief, a full panel conversation. And Jazzy, take us away.
Grief is like an iceberg with all its layers, emotions, and nuances. The longer you're on the grief journey, the more you realize just how deep the trauma and effect it has on you. Not only on you as a person, but every aspect of your life. And all the ways you now have to adjust to this new reality, this new way of life. Of course, there's all the things you see on the surface, the sadness, the anger, the way someone so obviously is keeping themselves busy despite the fact they look drained to their very core, the way you blow off any concerns someone might have, even though no one would be asking if you're okay if they didn't have a reason to. The way you just disappear from your everyday life and everyone notices your absence, because that absence, it's palpable, almost as palpable as the person who lost their fight to life. The way your eyes seem like a never-ending ocean of tears that you would only notice if someone really looked into your eyes, or the tear stains tracking down your cheeks because you have to get it out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Everyone knows that grief in some form or fashion will show in physical presenting ways. But what if you go deeper? What about those other layers under the surface? Those layers that feel like the tallest mountain in the world to overcome. And one wrong move has you tumbling down until there's nothing left but a bruised heart and aching lungs. How you could be having the most amazing happy day, but one smell, one song lyric, one picture, one word, maybe even just the mere mention of their name, lights that candle of grief within your soul, and all that sadness, that anger, that agony, that longing, clouds your brain until that's all you can see. Those grief waves hit you out of nowhere, like that sharp pain you get in your chest or a cramp that makes your foot feel numb. How brain fog can disrupt even the best of your thoughts, and now remembering to do even the most basic tasks feels like digging for words in alphabet soup. How your body reminds you, even in times when you truly need the rest, taking you up from nightmares or making sleep physically impossible. And you can't think straight if your body can't get fuel, and you can't fuel your body if your brain won't let you rest. Those terrible nights of sleep almost feel like a cruel joke. While our loved ones get to rest, no longer pain and simply in peace, we're the ones laying up at night wondering when this pain will ease. Because your nervous system is already off track, and regulating it feels like a full-time job. The overwhelming numbness, not sad, angry, or happy, just genuinely empty because every ounce of your being is feeling that loss. But then comes the yearning, needing them in their love, knowing it's past the point of no return, and they're now our angel, our little dove. There's all these different layers, and if you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't understand, because grief is a never-ending journey that sometimes feels like you're drowning in quicksand. But here's the thing about grief. It never goes away. You simply learn to live with it like it's attached to one of your limbs. That sharp pain eventually turns to a mere ache. That anger turns to acceptance. That person-shaped hole in your heart and life turns into something beautiful if you put in the work and fight. And just like grief itself, that person is never truly gone because you still have their memories, their impact, their legacy. You carry with you all the best pieces of them. You carry their light. You're the one that makes the world remember them even when their body is long gone. And though death is a given, the price we pay for life, you don't have to sit here stewing in it, letting your heart be destroyed by that metaphorical knife. Grief doesn't define you. It doesn't make you who you are. Be kind to yourself, give yourself some grace, and remember, you're worthy, you are beautifully you, and that is more than enough.
Beautiful.
Thank
Oh,
you.
beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful,
I'm so glad
beautiful.
you read that for us. Thank you, Jazz.
And it was right on time.
It was.
It was.
Thank you, everyone that's been here. Thank you for people coming up to share. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll be live Friday night for a special conversation. And next Monday, the live is sharing our first Mother's Day in widowhood.
Oh.
So, or what that grief looked like for you and your first Mother's Day of grief. That's what next Monday is about. Don't want to do that Mother's Day, but I know it's coming up and I want to give people space to talk about their grief as it relates to motherhood. So that's next Monday, and Friday is a special 9-person panel, sisters talking about grief. Thank you guys so much. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good night.
night.